Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. Today I'm going to talk to you about what causes constipation in dogs. You know me, I don't shy away from the horrible subjects, but if you've got dogs, them getting constipated is something that's very likely to happen. Not often, but it would happen, it might happen now and again. I've had dogs for like 25 years and I've probably had about maybe 6 instances of it. So it's not a really common thing, but it is something that can happen. And when it does happen, it's really, really unpleasant for the dog. And so, it is something that needs to be talked about. I would say the two, well, there's probably three things that are the most common ones. I'll go through them first. The first one can actually be really dangerous, and it's an actual blockage. So the dog is trying to go to toilet, he isn't able to go. He'd probably be crying, or he might not be crying, but he'll just be like trying to go, in the position to go, and he's not able to go. Probably the most dangerous one is that it's actually got a blockage. And the funny thing about this was, I decided I was going to record this video, so I was thinking about it and working out what I was going to tell you. The next day, I bumped into a man that I know on his walk, and his dog had been constipated for 2 days. So he took her to the vet, and she actually had a piece of wood blocking. So the poor little sweetheart, sweet little dog, she actually couldn't go because she had a piece of wood that she couldn't actually get out. That really could have been an emergency. Luckily he's a really good owner and he was on that. But if he hadn't been, that could have ended up very, very badly for her, because she would have still been producing the stuff that needed to come out, but it would have been getting more and more backed up inside her. And the poor little sweetheart, she couldn't get it go because she had this piece of wood blocking. So she'd obviously eaten a stick or something, and had this bit left, and she couldn't physically get it out. And the vet was able to just very slowly pull it out, and then she was able to go, and now she's absolutely fine. A similar thing, Albert there at the back. So if you don't know my channel, I've got 3 dogs. Not sure where my other one is, but I've got 3 dogs. But little Albert there, the white one at the back, when he was a puppy, so he's 10 now, but when he was a puppy, very, very similar thing happened. He was trying to go to toilet and crying because he couldn't go. Over the years, I just worked out that if you've got a constipated dog, just pop your lead on, take them for a walk. That very often will activate it and get everything going. And he couldn't even take the steps to walk. It was too painful. So I knew he actually had a blockage. So I popped him up on the table, had a look, and I could see that poking out was like it was a piece of wood, sort of a piece of wood, piece of thick sort of leaf thing. And I very, very slowly pulled it out. I can't emphasize enough how important it is, if you are going to pull it out yourself, to pull it out very, very, very slowly, because you don't know what that's connected to. And I've heard some horror stories of what it's connected to and what you end up pulling out. So, it's probably best, really, probably to go to the vet. But a couple of times I've just done it myself and it's been fine. I just got hold of it and pulled it out incredibly slowly, and then he was instantly able to go to toilet and it was fine. And another time, it wasn't him. I think, who was it the other time? No, it was Harry here. It was Harry. He again was a puppy. You know what they're like when they're puppies? It's a nightmare trying to stop them eating stuff. He again needed to go to the toilet. He was in the position, but he couldn't go. And I didn't take him for a walk because we were in the garden and I could see that there was sort of something coming out. So again, I popped him up on the table so that I'm at a good position to see. And it was like a wad of grass, a big wad of grass. And I very, very slowly pulled it out. And I nearly stopped because it was really long. And I thought, this could be attached to his insides, this could be bad. But as I was pulling it, I could feel him sort of pushing it. So I just carried on pulling incredibly slowly. And it was a really long piece of grass. It was like the length of my hand. Quite a thick sort of wad of grass. And once that came out, he was unable to go to toilet straight away and everything was fine. So blockages are one thing, but obviously go very, very carefully. So if you have got a dog that's showing constipation signs and walking him doesn't sort it out, then I would take him to the vet if you can't see anything, because with any other reasons that I'll go through in a minute for constipation, always found that taking them for a walk sorts it all out. They're able to go and it's fine. But if taking them for a walk, well, two things: if taking them for the walk doesn't stop it and sort it out, or if you put the lead on and they can't actually walk because it's too painful, then that's very, very likely that you've got a blockage, and you need to either, if you can't see yourself very carefully pull it, then get to a vet. But the pulling can be a bit dodgy, so get to the vet or whatever if you can. The other thing that I've had is my dogs in the hay fever season in the summer. I put them on Piriton for dogs, Piriton tablets for dogs, to stop hay fever, because they all suffer really bad with hay fever. All my boys do, and I find that so I give them 2 tablets a day, and I find that sometimes when you go on you give them 2 tablets a day, it can instantly cause constipation, which can be sorted out by taking them for a walk. It gets things activated and gets things sorted. But so what I do in that situation is I come back down to 1 tablet, and then I'll cut the second tablet in half. So we go 1.5 and then back up to 2. And I've always found that by that point, their body is able to tolerate it. So that's another reason. So medication can sometimes cause constipation, and that can normally be sorted out by taking them for a walk. If a vet has put the dog on medication and it's causing constipation more than once, then you need to definitely be telling them. And if you're giving your dog medication, in the beginning Piriton was prescribed by a vet, but then over the years I just do it myself. And if I wasn't, constipation happens once, that's fine. I know it can happen. I know how to stop it. But if it kept happening, then I would take them off the Piriton and have to look at an alternative. So medication can sometimes cause it. Another thing that I see this a lot, I've seen this a lot in life. If a dog is fed dry food, the food can just be so dry that the toilet isn't able to come out. It's just so dry, it just gets compacted. As you know, if you're one of my subscribers and you know me, you know how much I hate dry food. I just hate the stuff. I hate it. There's just so many nicer ways to feed a dog. I'm not a big fan of dry food at all. But this is another disadvantage to it, is that it can just be too dry for them, and it causes their toilet to be too dry, and they're not actually able to get it out. And if you're seeing constipation keep happening and you're feeding your dog dry biscuits, kibble or whatever you call it, that's a very high chance that is why it is. It could be why it is. So I've seen that quite a lot. If you don't exercise your dog, okay, for a start, don't even get me started, because why aren't you exercising your dog? You should be. It's not up for discussion. Every dog needs to go for a walk. So if you're not exercising your dog, it could just be that their system isn't able to get going. And so that can cause constipation. So if your dog is suffering with constipation a lot and you're not walking them every day, you need to obviously be having a little think to yourself about why you're not doing that. The other thing that I have seen quite a lot in my life, not with my dogs, I've never seen it with my dogs, but other dogs, impacted anal glands. So the next video, so where are you now? So this is Tuesday, you're watching this. So on Thursday, the video that's coming out is going to be, I'm going to talk to you about anal glands. They're a really unpleasant thing, but so much of my channel is unpleasant, isn't it? But I'm not scared of talking about the things that other people shy away from. And so I'm going to talk to you about anal glands. So if you're maybe got your first dog, or you're new to dog ownership, or maybe you have had dogs for a while, but you've never actually had a dog suffer with anal gland problems, I'm just going to talk to you about them. But one thing that can cause constipation is if they get impacted. So I won't go in depth into what they are now. I'll talk to you about that on Thursday. But if they get to the little sacs by their bottom area, and if they get too full and impacted, they're physically not able to go to toilet. So it works kind of the same way as a blockage, but the anal glands are blocking them, and in that case you need to get them, you just take them to the vets and the vets squeeze them. On Thursday I will tell you about something that I do actually with Harry over here, because he suffers a bit with his anal gland. And so I tell you what I do, that actually I'm able to just sort that out at home and there's no problems there. But that'll be for Thursday's discussion. So over my time of owning dogs, they are the reasons. I've never come across a different reason for constipation. They're just my reasons. Obviously there may be other reasons that I've never come across, but you know, like I said, that's just, you know, I've owned dogs for a very, very long time. My whole life is dogs, and I've never come across anything else in any other dog. So that's the main, I think, you know, they are the main ones. But what you do need to know is that constipation in dogs is incredibly unpleasant. I mean, it's not great in us, is it? Let's face it, it's not a pleasant thing for us to have. And so you do definitely need to treat it, and don't underestimate how dangerous it could be. If you don't treat it, you just leave it, because the toilet in them is just going to back up. They're still going to be creating it. It's just going to back up, and it can be very, very dangerous. So that is the other thing. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. And I know sometimes I do get comments saying, oh, you shouldn't talk about these subjects. But the reason I talk about these subjects is because other people aren't talking about these subjects, and they need to be discussed. If you own a dog, you have to become very familiar with all aspects of it. Yes, sure, there's the lovely aspects of it, cuddling them and all playing with them and all that lovely stuff. But you do need to become very familiar with the other end of it. And if you are thinking about getting a dog, or you've just got your first dog, don't, you know, it's nothing to shy away from. You do need to know about their toilets and what they look like and how often they are. You need to become very familiar with that, because that's an indicator of their health. I'm just looking at Humps rolling around on the floor. That's an indicator of their health. And then if something like constipation happens, you need to act quick. So you need to hear videos like this and other people talking about it, or read about it, so that you know how to act quick. Now, there is a chance that your dog may never get constipated. It might not be something that you ever have to deal with. But I always think with dog ownership, so much can happen quick. It happens fast and it happens quick, and you've got to think quickly. And so the more you know about dogs, you can just think quickly rather than have to look it up. You can just think quickly. So I'm hoping that, you know, if your dog has constipation, you've watched this video, you will be able to act on something, because it's really, really unpleasant for them. So that's all I have to say about it. So like I said, on Thursday I'm going to talk to you about anal glands. I bet you can't wait for that one. It's not nice. It's really not a nice subject. But again, it is something that is vital that you're aware of, because it can cause really big issues for your dog. You know, it can be really unpleasant for them. So it's something that you do need to be aware of. I hope that all your dogs are healthy and well, and that constipation and anal glands aren't something that you're having to deal with at the moment. But unfortunately, there is a massive chance that at some point you're going to need to. And if you are an experienced dog owner, you know all about anal glands, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you know why it's so important that dog owners do know about them. Not a nice subject, but it is what it is. So that'll be Thursday. I'm on my social media, or the other days I do my dog tip of the day. So dog tip of the day is Monday, Wednesday and Friday. I'm currently on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter, or X, or whatever we call it now. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are the videos on here. So as a lot of you are contacting me on Instagram DMs, which is great, because then it's not public. If you don't want people to know, it's not public. And that's fine, and that works great for me, and I'm able to, that is a good way for me to interact with you. Comments is also another place we can interact backwards and forwards, but that isn't really happening so much. I'm doing it more on Instagram DMs, which is fine. But if you've got just a quick question and you know you don't need it to be private, pop it in comments, and I'll get back to you on that. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you all have a lovely day. And I've lost little Albert. I don't know where he is. I think my husband's home today, which isn't usual for him on a Monday, so I think Albert might be in the garden with him. But from Harry and from Humps, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye bye.